Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. I am the Maize Mad Man. Before we get started, make sure you hit that like button, share this with your friends and family on social media, and of course, subscribe. Today, we got a conversation with Michigan legend Chris Howard as he talks about how another legend in the GOAT, Tom Brady, nearly left Michigan. All that, and of course, I'm upset. No disrespect, respectfully, but disrespectfully, it's disrespect. Don't be disrespectful. Those vile, disgusting Spartans, poor little girl them. And I'ma tell them why I'm mad. That vile, disgusting cesspool in Columbus, the other state, and of course, as always, I'm upset.
What was the mindset, Chris, going into that season in '97? Man, I mean, the team was stacked from top to bottom, but obviously Michigan wasn't picked to be a favorite to win the national championship. Just take us to the mindset, in the locker room, man, for you guys and the coaches.
Yeah, I always tell people that 97 team doesn't happen if we don't go through 94, 95, and 96. Because up until then, I think Michigan had went to the Rose Bowl like 5 years in a row or something like that. And I think I think Bo Schembechler has has a quote where he talks about teams that win a lot become soft, and I'm just paraphrasing, but something to that effect.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happened. I think Michigan just felt like it was. I think when I say Michigan, we felt like it was kind of a rite of passage that we would just get there. And when I look back at those teams, those 94, 95, 96 teams, those teams were really stacked. I mean, we had Mercury Hayes, Amani Toomer, Tyrone Wheatley, Tim Biaka-Batuka. Rod Payne. The defense was stacked. I mean, we had guys that those teams should have won national championships, but we lost focus. Most of those games we beat ourselves. You can't take away from what Northwestern did because they were the right team at the right time. I mean, they beat everybody. It wasn't just Michigan that lost to them. They beat everybody and went to the Rose Bowl. Wisconsin was a good team back then as well. So it was Big Ten was very peak at that point, but it was also where we hit our drop off. So it was kind of like a recipe for disaster if you're a Michigan fan. And again, like I said, a lot of those games we lost because we beat ourselves, turnovers, distractions, whatever you want to call them. But going into that 97 season, we didn't have those superstars. Only person we had was Wood. Wood was, we're being honest, Wood was the dude. Wood was the star. We had a walk-on quarterback, Brian Griese. We had an offensive line that was kind of a makeshift offensive line. We had to move two redshirt freshman defensive linemen over to offensive line because we didn't have enough offensive linemen. Now, one of those players ended up being Steve Hutchinson, right?
Oh.
You know what I mean? And I can't remember the other guy's name, but he played a bunch of years in the NFL as well. So we had a makeshift offensive line. We didn't really have any receivers. Ty Streets had dislocated his fingers a bunch of times. Thank God we had tight ends, Jeremy Tooman, Mark Campbell were really solid guys. But we knew that was going to be a grinded out type of season. The mentality that went into that was when you're tired of getting your ass kicked for the last 3-4 years, and all of a sudden you're being looked at as the weakest link in the Michigan history and lineage, right? You got a lot of the older guys that played in the 80s and early 90s looking at you with the side eye, like, like you guys don't deserve to be, wear the block. Yeah, your mindset starts to change a lot. And going into that season, it was like, this is our last chance to turn things around. And when I tell you, man, we were zeroed in. We were zeroed in. Like fights at practice, it was super competitive. Everybody talks about the team. Some of us didn't like each other. You know, some of us were beefing, but that's what made those practices super intense. And Lloyd was the guy that was able to kind of just harness all that and bring that all together. And it didn't matter if you didn't like the guy across from you, you still had the same goal as the guy across from you. And so it was like where defense and offense was separated, but we still had the same goal, and we were just locked in.
We got a question. This is actually a good question because it's one that I have written down here. But apparently you guys win the national championship, right? Or around that time, and everybody's celebrating, and a certain, GOAT in the making isn't celebrating and kind of sulking, and you have a conversation with him. Can you share that with us? And what was what was Tom going through at that moment?
Yeah, man, listen, he was kind of going through like their freshman year for me. He was kind of experiencing the same thing because going into that 97 season, he and Griese were kind of battling it out for who was going to be the starting quarterback. And the competitive person that people see Tom Brady as today, he was like that, when he got on campus. You know what I mean? Like if he completed a 30-yard bomb, he was just excited about that 30-yard bomb as he was a 5-yard hitch. Like just his intensity was throughout, no matter what. Even when he made a mistake. And I think one of the things that maybe have hindered him back then was when he made a mistake, he would get really down on himself. But that's just kind of who he is because he expects the most of himself, right? Mm-hmm. So I think when he lost that spot to Griese, and we go and win it all, and then of course you got this kid Drew Henson, who everybody is touting as the next whatever, right? He's the next guy that's coming in and blah blah blah. And so I think he felt like the writing was on the wall. And for me, when we're all celebrating, I see him not celebrating. To sit down and we're talking, he's like, yeah, I think, between me and you, I'm probably going to transfer. And I'm like, transfer? Like why are you going to transfer? I'm like, this kid ain't even on campus yet. You don't know if he's any good or if he's hype or whatever. And I was like, if you're going to transfer, I said, well, then you're not the kid I thought you was. And he didn't transfer. I'm sure he had that conversation, not just with myself. I'm sure he had that conversation with other people. But it was just something that I noticed out of kind of like Where's Waldo? You kind of see everybody cheering, and then one guy is off to himself, not celebrating with everybody else. And I'm the type of person who I like to make sure guys are okay. So it was more of me just kind of checking on him. And then when he told me that was my response.
Talk to me in the chat. What do you think about that? What do you think about the possibility? There was a possibility that Tom Brady transferred from Michigan. Also, that championship mindset. Chris Howard's a great interview. Talk about it in the comment section. Follow me everywhere at Maize Madman. And of course, stay angry, my friends. You know the slogan. I'm upset.
Ladies and gentlemen, this might be our best season ever. My ratings, they're about to go through the roof.
All right, now I'm gonna calm down. So I just don't get that all that Maize and that lock and all that puff. I just don't get it. And how the
my God, we're shutting the damn live down. Good night, everybody.